I think it's a ladies' show for us today, which is a nice thing. Yeah. And also, if you didn't pay enough attention to pronunciations, you might think it's the Kathleen show. Yeah. Because I'm talking about Catherine as well. But this is Catherine Adipo. Yeah. Our guest name starts with a K. Yeah. This is a C. This is Kathleen. Kathleen, yeah. And then there's an L in there. We have an R-I-N where you have an L-E-E-N. And then so it's Catherine. But you know how many Ugandans might think it's the same name. My friend, I have a problem with milk and milk. So I please, go on. You're not alone. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So I'm talking Catherine Adipo. Yeah. This is one of the true icons of Ugandan sport. Now, actually, Mark Stelz is just like the equivalent of the Press Box Hall of Fame. Yeah. Because that is what I'm doing. I'm profiling the people who are iconic in Ugandan sport. Brilliant. Catherine Adipo is a pioneer in a sense, if you like. She wasn't the first Ugandan referee or anything like that, but she's up there. The first Ugandan female referee, but she's up there. And also she's inspired so many, so many. And it's amazing how her story, she's known for refereeing when she's actually achieved several other things. I'm talking about a lady who has, after her first degree from Makerere University, got a master's degree in sports science from Chambogo and is pursuing her PhD in sports science from Kenyatta University. And this is all self-sponsored. It's not scholarships or things like that, or somebody bankrolling things and all. She's doing a PhD in sports science, and she lectures at Chambogo University in sports science as well. And but long before she was a referee, she was something else. So let me go back very quickly. Right. Born more than 50 years ago in Busia. Yeah, you see what I did there. Yeah. We are in class. You see what I did there. Yeah. Did her primary school in Busia, but of course she used to do her holidays in Mbale and Kampala and Entebbe. She had so many siblings around the place, and so she became a girl of the world in many instances. Every available sport in primary school in Busia she did. Then she went to Namagunga for her O-levels, and volleyball took over. But she was also introduced to football, and then she also went to A-level in Budo, crossed over from Namagunga to Budo for the A-levels, and continued that volleyball career, and then the football a bit. She went to Makerere University. The football wasn't there, so it was volleyball. So her initial sports career, she was a volleyball player. She was for more than a decade captain of KVC and the national team, and she actually was a setter, captain of KVC and the national team for more than a decade. Wow, that's how long it is, and so she was a very powerful volleyball career for Catherine. But like I said, the moment she became referee, that went out the window. Everybody thinks of her as a ref when they see her, and that is a big thing. How did she become a referee? After Makerere University, she goes to teach in Makerere College, which is right there in Marcos. She was, she had done a postgraduate diploma in geography and physical education in PE. So she went there as a PE teacher, and as well as games mistress, if you like, And so when she got in there, because she was an all-round sports person, she became the football coach in there. I'm talking about Makerere College at the time when they were a sports powerhouse. In athletics, Moses Achon and Musonge, the guys I talked about when I was talking about Davis Kaboga last week, they were in Makerere College. And just a few years later, they would become a powerhouse in basketball as well. I'll talk about those guys later on another show. So she was in that time, and Edgar Watson was there as a footballer. She was one of the footballers she was coaching. He was at Marcos as well. Yeah. So school has produced everyone. I mean, I'm here, there. Big so listen. So how does then she cross into refereeing from all this coaching and all this PE and all this volleyball? She takes this team to a schools tournament in Nachivubo, and while there, Dick Nsubuga, arguably the greatest referee Uganda has ever had, spots her on the bench of Makerere College and walks up to her and says, a woman coaching football on the bench of a football team, if you're this good at this, you probably can make a good referee. So what does he do? He drives over to Makerere College later, picks her up himself and takes her to a refereeing course at Nachivo Blue. There was a refereeing course then. She comes out of that with flying colors, graduates as a grade 3 referee. So she becomes a referee. This is 1989. Whoa. Yeah, so she becomes a referee and goes on to referee a lot of league football. What happened during that time is she was, when she came in, there was a ladies referee called Teopista Birungi Mayanja. I remember Teopista Birungi Mayanja.
She also used to referee netball games.
Yeah.
When she wasn't doing football, she
yeah. For her, she didn't make it to international grade. I think she dropped out at some point. But Catherine Adipo persisted. Several years of grinding. She was prepared so well like they would send her to football bonanzas. You know these bonanzas we used to have, like schools or regional club teams playing, and you're there, a single referee without assistant referees, and you're doing a whole day.
Yeah.
So there's a time, like an old couple actually, where she did a whole tournament, 5 games from morning to afternoon. Alone, no assistant referee. So she really was prepared. So
were there offsides?
Well, she was fast.
It was tough. Yeah. So by the time she got into the league, she had been prepared well. She says the girls these days, they want, after they do their course and graduate to fly cars, straight into the action and all. It wasn't like that for them. So they were really prepared. So she gets into the league. She officiated some very, very big matches, big derbies and all. Some of the pictures you'll see there, you will see, for example, an Express versus KCCA derby where Charles Baker Masiko is captain on the other side, Isaac Kada on this one. Two of the greatest players.
Well, this wasn't the biggest derby in the country.
That was her in charge of the president's first ever football game at Nachivo Stadium. So she did games like this. And like, as I tell you again, the story coincides with me a little bit, like I talked with Davis and with Patrick Away and all, because I played in at least a game that I remember, and she reminded me she remembers all these things in which I played, and she was referee. Diary in 1994, Diary Corporation up against Arua Young. Arua at that time even had somebody who had gone to be one of the greatest playmakers we've had in this country, Willie Chambadi. So those are kinds of games she used to referee. Big ones, all the players of the time, and she refereed with some of the big names of the time, the Masembes and all these people and all. So and she really refereed games. She told me at some point actually that the men referees at the time was, for example, scared of going to Wankulukuku. I'm telling you, it was a very hostile environment back then, if you remember some of the stories I've told on the show before. So they would say, Adipo genda mayuni. So she handled a lot of Express matches and big ones. And also, I mean, she was so tough. There's a time in Nachivo, she sent off Jeji Semogere, captain of the national team and of Express, at the peak of his powers.
Unacceptable.
She sent him off at the World Stadium, went, wow. Now, one of the things she talks about the challenges during that time. She says, you see, her biggest challenge was acceptance. You're a woman referee, you've walked in there, you take charge and people are skeptical and they're saying all sorts of things, throwing all words at you. But you win them over with time to the point where they start abusing male referees and telling them, no, you're Mkaza Abasinga, you know, that kind of thing. So she got to that level. And then she became an international referee in 1995. So she starts doing those international matches, few club, but mostly international games, all Africa games. She went to the Abuja games, for example, in Nigeria. She also did all sorts of African championships between 2000 and when she retired, women's African championship games. And she told me one of the highlights of her career was a game between Ghana and Nigeria. These girls were physical, they were strong, they were like men.
They were kicking each other.
Yeah, they were physical, the pace was furious and stuff like that. She enjoyed those. She never ever sent off any girls in the women's championships. It's the guys she used to send off and things like that. But she had such a long, illustrious career, which was cut short in 2006. She goes for a referee's fitness test and tears a thigh muscle. So she had to call it quits. But she had such a long career. You saw that meeting John Fashanu, meeting President Museveni and things like that.
Meeting the Kabaka.
The Kabaka as well, and Najinda and all that. So it was an illustrious career. Most of that time, thankfully, I was watching because I played and then stopped and then I kept watching her. So she was a very powerful woman. So we've known each other for a very long time.
That game that had the president, I'm sure there was a penalty.
So
a bit of match fixing, you mean?
So Catherine retires 2006 and then goes into, she becomes an instructor. She did all these courses across Africa, CAF and FIFA courses to become a referee's instructor. And now she's since graduated to being what they call a referee's coach. You know, instructor is you're teaching
the rules, the basics of refereeing.
over a period of time and all. Referee coach is this one, you take refs aside, they have a big game tomorrow. You train with them on that the day before the game. You run them through the basics, tell them what to expect and how to handle certain incidents. That's referee's coach. She's that big, and she still earns from it. Beginners courses, for example, those referees pay for themselves at beginners level. Yeah. But instructors, coaches at national level and all, they are sponsored by FIFA, so the FIFA have to pay her and things like that. So she's that powerful lady. But like I told you, she remains also lecturer at Chambogo University, and also pursuing a PhD in there. But Catherine Adipo, because I'll tell you, for example, when she became international referee in 1995, very quickly I'm winding up, she had 2 assistant international referees that went with her, Rose Ram and Florence Semambo. Then later, Margaret Kunihira, you remember her, she would join as an international referee. But now there are so many, and most of those girls will confess to you that she was a role model for them. Now you have Shamira Nabada
and the assistants.
There are 4 assistants. Shamira Nabada is there, but also there's another international referee that is Murunji, Diana Murunji. So there are 2, Shamira Nabada and Diana Murunji, and then 4 assistant referees international, and then a whole host of women referees now who she has inspired. This is Catherine Adipo. Amazing.